After being delayed in March because of the COVID pandemic, the 2020 CPL season has finally, now 4 months later, been announced. We are doing Soccer Island, boys. The Island Games. All 8 teams are currently quarantining as they are going to PEI. They are going to Charlottetown to play in a tournament/season thing. It's a bit longer than a tournament, a bit shorter than a usual season. It's just some weird thing in between, but it technically is a full season and it will be the 2020 Canadian Premier League season. It's actually a pretty solid format for a condensed season. There's going to be 3 separate stages. The first stage will include all 8 teams, of course, and it's basically a condensed regular season where each team is going to play every other team only once because we're all at a single location, no home and away nonsense. Every team plays each other once, which makes up 7 games for each team in a total of 28 games. After each team plays each other team once, the top 4 teams will move on to the round robin second stage. So the bottom 4 teams in the league, after 7 games, their season is over. The top 4 teams are guaranteed 3 more games, as the top 4 teams will play each other one more time in a 3-match round robin, totaling 6 games. And after the top 4 teams play in their round robin, the top 2 will move on to the single match 2020 Canadian Premier League Championship. And the winner of that one match will be crowned the 2020 Canadian Premier League champions. This whole big fun tournament, the Island Games, are going to kick off August 13th. That's in just over 2 weeks. It's right up upon us. Starting off with a rematch of last year's CPL championship, the Calgary Cavalry versus Hamilton Forge FC. This format is going to be very fun to watch play out. The 7-game regular season, I guess you can call it, means every single game is going to be super important. There's no room for teams to start slow. If you have a slow start, you're basically done. The battle for 3rd and 4th place, those last spot or 2 in the round robin, is going to be a war to get. It's going to come down to the wire. I would not be surprised if it's decided on goal differential. And because half the league moves on, most of the teams are still going to be in it, still going to be fighting down to the last 2 games of the group stage for them. Pretty much every game is going to mean so much. The second stage round robin is an interesting touch. I originally thought that they were going to do a semifinals finals, but having a round robin is nice. It gives the teams that succeed in the first stage 2 more games than they would have had in a straight semifinals, and it just leaves slightly more room for more intense battles, for a very tough fight to get into the CPL championship, to get into the CPL finals. Those 4 teams are going to be fighting very, very hard to get in those last 2 spots. And honestly, I'm going to predict who's going to win this tournament in a future video, but right now all I can say is none of these positions are in any way secured by any team at all. I don't know how anyone's going to do. It really is anyone's match, especially because none of these teams have played since last October. It's been almost a full calendar year since matches have been played for any of these teams. And now we have 2 opportunities in the first and second stage for incredibly tight, incredibly close battles and group stages that are going to go right down to the wire. And in the championship stage, the finals, of course, aren't going to be a home and away series. There's not going to be any of that aggregate score stuff because it's single location, single match, 1 game, a big game, 1 singular game to decide who is the 2020 CPL champion. That game is hopefully going to be the icing on the cake of what should be a fantastic tournament season. I still don't really know what to call this. It's bigger than a tournament, but it's smaller than a season. It's weird. Honestly, with what the CPL was dealing with the fact that they don't have the money to properly bubble, a lot of places in Canada didn't want them, this is, I think, a very good compromise. Yes, it's coming a little bit later than I think some people would have wanted, but there's finally an announcement. It's finally here. Every team's going to be playing between 7 and 11 games, which is a pretty short season, but I mean, with what was going on in the world this year, I think any team playing 11 games is actually a pretty good, pretty solid run. So that should be fun. This is going to be an incredibly fun tournament. I hope that people that wouldn't usually watch the CPL tune into this, because I think it's going to be some quality football. Maybe the talent and level of play aren't going to be there, especially with players not having played for 10 months, but it is going to be a lot of fun to watch. I think we're going to see some crazy games, some crazy high scores, and I think this is just going to be one fantastic tournament. So yeah, that is it for this video. Let me know what you think of this Island Games tournament format that the CPL is going with. And hit like if you like this video. Hit subscribe if you want to see more of my stuff. Follow me on Twitter, link is down below in the description, and I will see you next time.